Hi and welcome. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwao. It's so much fun bringing you another exciting episode. We are gradually winding down to the end of the competition. We'll be talking about last night's semi-final one between Senegal and Burkina Faso in a bit there. But of course, this is your show as well. So you are welcome to send us all your thoughts, comments, opinions, anything you want to send us on the number right there on your screen, 0550-585832, 0550-585832. That's the WhatsApp number. That's the text number. Would love to get all your messages on that number. Hashtag AFCON on Citi. And thank you for watching. If you're watching us on DSTV channel 363 and GoTV channel 182, it's so much fun having you around. We'll take a very quick break. When I come back, I introduce my guests and we unpack the show. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. Let me introduce the guys. Daniel Cranton is here. Hello.
Hi, Nathan.
You're good?
Very, very well.
All right. Sisu Graham is also here. Today they've left the touch screen unattended to.
Personally, I feel a bit naked without the touch screen. I feel unprotected.
Then you'll be fine. You'll be fine. We'll get you to your safe spot in a bit. Yeah, interesting choice. I like that. All right. Semi-final one went down last night. Let's have a look at that result involving Burkina Faso and Senegal. Okay, so it was 3-1 in favor of Senegal for those who were wondering and still are wondering what the score was. And this was how the action went down. This was in the second half.
Yeah, I remember this.
This was in the second half. I remember initially we all thought it was a pen. I thought the referee
I thought it was a very bad mistake if it had been given us a pen.
This was the first half.
It wasn't the first half.
Yeah, it was.
No, yeah, it was the last minute.
Last minute there. And then, commotion, pinball, and bang, Abdou Diallo of PSG put the ball into the net. And at this point, it was left with about 20 minutes or so left on the clock. And the Senegalese took the lead. Kalidou Koulibaly, bicycle kick assist, finding a fellow defender, Abdou Diallo. And he put the ball into the net, giving the Senegalese a lead there. And there you have Sadio, was it Sadio Mane or was Sadio Mane?
I think Mane scored the third.
Yeah, but the setup here, and then Idrissa Gana Gueye. Initially, there was some confusion as to who touched the ball. The two players couldn't determine who did, but it looks like it was Idrissa Gana Gueye who got the telling touch. And at this point, it was 2-0 to Senegal, and they were on their way.
Two different angles, because over here it looks like it was Dieng who had the final touch. That's what it looks like, but yeah.
And then the Burkinabés pulled one back, and they almost made it a contest there. This was around 82 minutes. There was time still left on the clock for the game to swing either way. Either it was going to be a leveler or an exclamation point for the Senegalese as they wrapped the game up there. Very interesting goal to score, very unconventional goal with the knee. And then a bit of commotion. Ismail Assar finds Sadio Mane, and at this point, as he was bearing down on goal, it was a matter of what he would do. Left foot chip, 3-1, game over, and Senegal make another AFCON final. Their third overall, second consecutive AFCON final after they were in one in Egypt about 2-3 years ago. Guys, thoughts on this, Daniel? We all, yesterday when we previewed this game, we envisaged Burkina Faso giving Senegal problems. But in the end, it turned out the Senegalese found, I won't say easy ways to score, but they did not have issues putting the ball into the back of the net.
I think yesterday I finally got the whole picture with the way the Senegalese approached this tournament. We saw them throughout the qualifiers. In fact, we've seen them on their Aliou Cissé, I think since 2016, 2017. This is his third AFCON with the team. We know they play a certain brand of football, nice attacking play, create a lot of chances. But we didn't really see that in this competition. In fact, against Zimbabwe, although they scored that last-minute penalty, they played really well, created opportunities. But since then, we didn't really see them play that style of football. And we perceived it as they struggling. I think yesterday, I understood how they approached this. I just felt they went a bit more cautious. They were more cautious in their approach, just to make sure they got the win. Yesterday, in the second half, you could tell that they switched up their gear a bit more, started showing a bit more purpose going forward, a bit more intent. And behind all those very dangerous attacking moves was Sadio Mane. And we saw a similar role he was given to what what he played yesterday and what happened in the quarter-final, I think, against Equatorial Guinea. He dropped a bit deeper, started becoming very responsible for the attacking play, receiving the ball from the midfielders, moving him inside the channels and causing problems for opposition. And yesterday we saw him do that in the second half also. He was a bit too wide for me in the first half. I think he drifted more centrally in the second, became more integral in the Senegalese passage of play. So I think that was something that suited them more. It made them far more dangerous in the second half. For Burkina Faso, I was a bit more disappointed with them because we've seen how dangerous they are and how purposeful they are on the counter-attack throughout the competition. When they received the ball, when they managed to intercept Senegal, they didn't look too threatening for me. They didn't look too sure about what they were doing going forward, and that was very problematic. And the defending after they conceded the goal, I always say this: look, you conceded after 70 minutes, and there was still a 20-minute room for you to try and get an equalizer and force it into extra time. But they were just a bit too open, and I think it all comes down to tournament experience. They were, I think they were afraid. They panicked and they saw defeat and they panicked at the situation. And unfortunately for them, they couldn't capitalize, and of course they couldn't defend well enough. And I think the Senegalese second goal was just a bit too easy. Individual mistake, coupled with some good persistent play from Sadio Mane. Then he found the composure to dish out the pass to. Till now, I don't know if it was Dieng or Ghana Gay who scored the goal. But yeah, that was 2-0. And at that point, even when Burkina Faso pulled a goal back, you could always tell that Senegal were going to catch them on a counter-attack. Then they threw everything at it, tried to get a goal. And unfortunately for them, the manner in which the third goal came was a bit unfortunate because it was a slip. They looked like they had the situation under control. It looked like the centre-back was going to hit the ball back in for them to launch another attack. Then he slips, it ricochets off him, and then the pass is laid on to Mane. And from then, you could bet your last penny that he was going to put the ball in the back of the net. And I've been very impressed, or I was very impressed by the Senegalese performance. It looked very scripted. It looked like in every quarter of the game, they knew exactly what they were supposed to do, and they carried it down to the letter. So it's impressive work from Aliou. He said, look, you can't make back-to-back AFCON finals and be looked at as not one of the top guys on the continent. I think he's earned his respect across the tournament or across the continent. In fact, as it stands, if we are even going to extend it, he should easily be one of the best international managers in the business, because that's back-to-back major finals. He's qualified them for a World Cup. Even the 2017 edition, he lost out to the eventual winners, Cameroon, on penalties. And in penalties, it's anybody's game. So he's done a fantastic job with this group of players, and you can only hope that it's third time lucky for Senegal. Okay, all right. So your thoughts on this? I don't know if you have your numbers.
Well, I've set them up with the production team, so to come up. Thank you very much.
All right.
So I think you look at the XG, Senegal deserves to win. But I think what was interesting about these games, we didn't see as much dominance in possession as you'd expect, considering what we spoke about pre-game. So 51.5%. It's just a shade above the 50% mark. So I think Burkina Faso did well in keeping the ball. I think what helped Burkina Faso is they didn't fashion good chances. I think you look in the shots inside the box, they had only 4 compared to 12 for Senegal. Mm-hmm. So they weren't getting the box as much. And I think they were going direct, but I think you look at the passing accuracy in the final third. That's where everything broke down. 57.28% compared to 80.85% for Senegal. So when Senegal got in the final third, they were able to pass more, create more. Though I think in the first half, I think Burkina created the better chances. They were a bit more threatening because there was a lot more space. But I think they were still too deep. And then the game similar to the third when the fact that it was a defensive lapse. But once they gave up that second goal, I knew it was game. In fact, after the first goal, I told my friends before the game that this was a one-goal game, actually.
Whoever scored first
win. I didn't see either team kind of being able to break down the other team once the other team kind of sat back a bit and tried to limit their space. So the Burkinabe were relying on all the space in behind. So you can see their long passes, 19% to 12%. But they weren't winning aerial duels. They only won 21% of the aerial duels in the match. So you are going long and you are not winning headers. It's a recipe for disaster. So I think those two things combined and not getting the box meant that it was going to be very difficult for them. And even if you see their goals, almost like Mendy's wrong-footed. it's not much of a chance. Like he puts the ball across, the guy kind of knees it or something. It doesn't really look like exactly. So you look at, but in the first half they had some openings, they got there, but I think Traore messed up a bit. A few chances they came on his right, and when you're that one-footed, you can't do much. So I think Senegal were a bit more open in the first half. They scored. They kind of tried to go a bit deeper, restrict their space, and the Burkina Faso were so used to playing direct and quick. Just they couldn't break down the Senegalese defense, and that's what cost them. But I think this is the most difficult team, quote unquote, that Senegal have played in this tournament, and they've passed the test with flying colours. Though we've been complaining about them that they've not been exciting in our life. In the knockout stages, they've scored 8 goals. In the group stage, they scored 1 goal. So maybe they were just saving their goals. Maybe they know they have a certain number of goals in them, so they can't use them more in their group stage. But they've passed this test very well, and I look for both finals. For me, will be very interesting. We're going to have a 20 years later, kind of AFCON final rematch, or we're going to have Salah versus Mane. So either way, either narrative is very exciting for me. But I would prefer the 20 years rematch. Winning Senegal an AFCON in Cameroon against the people who denied you your first AFCON, I think it would be a very nice ending to the tournament for them. But because we are getting Mane versus Salah in their qualifiers, I'm not as excited. We'll get it again, so there's no need to have 3 in a row.
Daniel, Susu mentioned Bertrand Traore. Your thoughts on his output? I thought for large parts of the game, he really hindered Burkina Faso to an extent. That chance on the right he should have taken. I just thought he really didn't provide a lot of what he was probably expected to give them.
That's a couple of days ago, I think, when Egypt faced Morocco. Yes. I was mentioning the impact of big players. We saw Mane do it yesterday. We saw Mane do it in the quarterfinal. We've seen Vincent Aboubakar do it throughout the competition, even to some extent. Andre Ayew for Ghana, although it was at the end of the day very useless. Look, that's when your country needs you. That's when your team needs you. That's why you are the best player on the field, or the best player in your squad. That's why you have the quality. That's why you have the experience that you have. So that when you reach that moment where the game plan is sort of built around you and your skill, you should be able to pick it up and do something from there. It was quite disappointing. And it almost looked like you could tell the body language of the players around him. It was like he just had to do his part. Everything was fashioned out for him to take the opportunities. And in fact, it's not just the chance he missed, but some of his movement was very suspect. Some of his decision-making was just off. And that's the 2 types of players. Some of them, when they reach the big stage, they embrace the pressure. They're able to bring others in whilst also doing well individually. Others also like to put all the responsibility on their shoulders and like to be the ones from whom everything comes from. And sometimes it can backfire when you have a bad game. And I think that is him. Well, that's what he did on the day. He'll be very disappointed, especially considering the narrative that he didn't play the game before that. He was injured, replaced by a youngster.
I don't think he was injured. I read something that the coach decided just to leave him out for tactical reasons.
I heard he was carrying an injury, but whatever the case, he didn't play that game. His replacement in that game did very well. He's brought back into the crunch tie, semi-final, an opportunity to reach the final, and then he flops. So it doesn't really, from a personal point of view, it doesn't really, it doesn't cover him with a lot of glory. And it's just unfortunate that he had been instrumental throughout the group stages, and you just have expected that when he reached that moment, he would have been able to
I just want to add a little bit about the decision making. I noticed every time he got the ball, he was trying to cut inside and shoot. It didn't matter how far he was, and I think that's a poor strategy for a number of reasons. There's a lot of bodies between you. Then we talk about the keeper in the goal. I mean, Mendy has been winning awards. People are saying he's the best keeper in the world, and you think that you are going to beat him from 30 yards every time you get the ball. I mean, it's different if it was we knew that Senegal have a weak keeper. Maybe if it was against like Comoros, they have an outfielder in their point, you want to test him. But if it's Mendy, you are not going to get far by testing Mendy. You need to get a good quality opportunity and hit it to the corners and hope he can't reach in time. You're not going to get it from trying to score a wonder goal every time. And I just felt like you said, his decision making was very poor. He just limited the attack by playing that way. You were just hoping for more from him, and it was very disappointing. And the way Aston Villa are buying all these new players, I don't know whether his time is up at the club.
You never know. Quick thoughts on Burkina Faso. Do you think be happy with the campaign? I'm sure every team would love to make the final, but realistically, do you think they would be happy with what they've done so far? They are into the losers final over the weekend. They could finish third.
Yeah, look, it's serious progress. We were talking about them about 2 shows ago. The fact that I think it was Fentu was mentioning the point that they've reached the semi-finals a couple of times. I think they reached the final in 2013. They lost to Nigeria. This was an opportunity for them, of course, on paper to reach the final. But they were facing Senegal. I don't think they will be too hard on themselves.
The spreadsheet's favourites, by the way.
The spreadsheet's favourites. Look, leading into the competition, we expected them to do well. But for them to reach a semi-final at the expense of the likes of Algeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Morocco, all these guys, Ghana, all these guys didn't do too well at the competition. So for them, they'll take it as a huge plus. They did extremely well in the World Cup qualifiers, pushing Algeria all the way to the last day. So I think it's progress. And it's a nice, fine young squad with a blend of some old guys in there for experience. So the future is, of course, is bright. And the next AFCON qualifiers will start in just a couple of months. So it's always very encouraging to have this sort of performance to build on in the next one. Who knows? Maybe they can go a step further. They'll tell themselves in 2013 we reached the final, we've reached the semi-final, and we could easily be third or fourth, whatever it is in this competition. And it's a solid ground to build on in the next half.
All right. So concluding thoughts on Burkina Faso? Your own assessment of what you saw.
I think it was a great campaign for them, and I think considering the unrest at home, I think they've made the people proud. They would have liked to win the AFCON, but it's something they've never done before. I think they went expectations like that on them. I think a semi-final run for a team they are one of the more they're always a dark horse in the sense that you don't want to face them, but you never expect them to win the AFCON. So I think they've done as well as you'd expect of them. I think it's similar to what Denmark did at the Euros. A strong campaign.
Back in 92.
Not 92, more like this, the last Euros, reaching the semi-final. Very impressive considering that their player quality is not up there with the big boys. When you look at Senegal, Algeria, Cameroon, Egypt, even Egypt, their score quality is not really there, but they have a superstar. I mean, if your superstar is Bertrand Traoré, your expectations are a bit lower, with all due respect. So I think it's been a good AFCON. I think they will obviously be disappointed because no one likes to lose, but when you look at it holistically and on the face of it, I think it's a good AFCON, and they will go into the third place playoff with their heads held high, and whatever comes, it's okay for them.
Okay, all right. We don't know who the Burkinabes will play in the losers final or the third and fourth place playoff. It will be either Egypt or Cameroon. Those two teams meet later this evening at 7 p.m. at the Olembe Stadium in Yaoundé for the second semi-final. Please, let's hear from you. Send us a message, 0550-585832, 0550-585832, hashtag AFCON on Citi. Would love to go through all your messages as they come in. So please send those messages in Ghana, outside Ghana, wherever it is. Would love to read them. If you are watching us from Burkina Faso, let's hear from you. Are you happy with the team's performance? Are you sad? Are you upset? What do you make of the Stallions and their run to the semi-final of the AFCON 2021 competition? Guys, just before we take a break, anybody's favorite Burkina Faso moment of the competition?
The goal they scored against Gabon was Bertrand Traoré. Just
Traoré,
after missing the penalty.
Yeah.
I think the technique and the composure, especially because the goalkeeper was rushing out, he didn't have a lot of time to think. I felt if he had taken it wide, there was a defender who was putting pressure on him. The goalkeeper was narrowing down, and to find that little space behind the goalkeeper to bend it around him, that was my moment. That was class.
That was classy stuff. That's what Bertrand Traoré can do.
I think they gave us a good opening game. They made the tournament exciting with the way they played. They took an early lead to kind of rattle the Cameroonian fans a bit, and then they graciously gave away 2 penalties to give the host a nice easy win. So I think they played the part of to make the first game exciting. So I think that was a good perfect. They set the tournament start on a good starting point. Yeah. So I'll give them that. I think that was I would say those tackles were a bit crazy. I think
I saw some of the tackles. Those penalties, you could tell that they were very easy penalties for the referee to give. But
I think 3 penalties in the opening 3 games. 2 against Cameroon, 1 against Ethiopia.
And they nearly gave away. They nearly got penalized twice. Luckily, VAR saved them. VAR wanted the penalty given the first time, and the referee overruled. And the second time, it saved them. So
interesting stuff for the Stallions of Burkina Faso. This is still the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwa, Daniel Cranting and Susu Graham are here. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we do more. Susu, I'm sure you have some stuff to share with us.
I have a lot.
Brilliant. So when we come back, we get to Susu on the touch. We highlight, I don't know, maybe a few things from yesterday, but we'll look ahead to that second semi-final involving Egypt and Cameroon, and they will fight for a place in the final over the weekend to see if they can win the AFCON one more time. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. The guys are still here with me, Susu Graham, Daniel Cranting. So we are done. We are putting Burkina Faso and Senegal on the side. Daniel, I'm sure we'll get to Susu to run through a few things there. Some messages have come in, though. Mm-hmm. Let's go through the messages. Yeah. This one says, I appreciate your good work. Indeed, coup d'etat within West Africa. Right. This one says, good afternoon to the best sports crew. Can you upload videos of sports panorama?
Check my Twitter. I have a few videos.
Yeah, you should follow Susu on Twitter. If not, we share the audio links, right, on SoundCloud. Mm-hmm. So you can follow it on SoundCloud. Dr. T, a very good friend from Kumasi, has sent us a message. Hello, Doc. This one says, I haven't watched any of this week's live shows because of work, but I'll catch up later on YouTube. I love the drama of VAR in the tournament. The referee accepting his mistake and rescinding his decision twice after VAR in the Burkina Faso Senegal game was truly admirable. VAR hasn't turned out to be as bad as some thought it would be. All right. Simon from Kashiman says, my concern is with the referee. For the first time in the competition, VAR was used correctly. I wouldn't be surprised if he's used for the final. Okay, he's talking about the Ethiopian referee.
Top referee. He knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff, right? Okay. Susu, let's get to you. Let's get to you. What are you gonna run us through?
Well, I have a lot of interesting things that are happening, so I'm trying to figure out where to start and where's the best place to start. Okay. So I think the best place to start is a kind of style comparison of the two teams.
Between Egypt and Cameroon?
Yes, Egypt and Cameroon. Good. I think a style comparison is a good place to start. So you look at the two teams, and I just want to point this out. I think Cameroon are the premier passing team in this competition. I think they've stood out really, and look at the 10 pass sequences. They are completely ahead. They just move the ball around so brilliantly, but they're also good at getting direct. They can be direct when they have to be. So they are 9th in terms of direct attacks. Egypt are 2nd, so you can see Egypt move the ball a bit more quickly. Mm-hmm. So then you come to high turnovers. They are 4th as well. So they like to press high. They are playing that more tiki-taka style. Yeah. Egypt are a bit more adaptable when they are playing against the kind of quote-unquote smaller nations. They will, do the more tiki-taka stuff. But when they face the bigger teams, they like to, drop deep and play on the counter. So I think it would be a nice stylistic clash. I think it would be similar to the game we've seen, but if Cameroon were to take an early lead, I think Egypt would be able to turn on the style like they did against Morocco. Let me not say the style, turn on the kind of tiki-taka style against like they did against Morocco and give us a very good game. So I'm very interested to see how that works.
Interesting stuff there. Daniel, when you think about Cameroon, we'll get to Egypt in a bit. Did you ever imagine that they would play this kind of football? Because typically, we know Cameroon, very physical. But even though they have that physique, the football is still very pleasing, still very high octane, great tempo, lots of width, lots of crosses. Abubakar and Toko Ekambi combining. Did you imagine this team producing this kind of football in this competition?
If you look at the qualities of their individual players, yes, it was always very possible. And also the truth is the fact that you're a physical team doesn't mean you can't play nice football.
Okay.
I think that's a myth that still exists in some football fans. In the minds of some football fans. The fact that they are big, strong players doesn't always mean that they can play. If you look at a typical example, let me give you two players. Players like Ale and Lukaku. When you look at them, you immediately think they are guys who like holding up play, using their body. No. But when you watch them clearly, you see that they thrive in teams that actually put the ball on the ground, play some good football, passing the ball, movement, very intelligent in the box. Players like that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that because you are big, you cannot play free-flowing, passing, tiki-taka style football. And what I like about the Cameroonians is that although they are also playing that style, they are also incorporating that physique and that aerial dominance in their game. They don't hesitate to go long if keeping the ball on the ground is not working. And it's a nice mix because you never really know what they are going to throw at you. So it's always very good to have options like that in terms of personnel who can adapt, and in terms of a manager who can also get up and switch up things.
And the other bit that I found interesting about the Cameroonians is the combination between Toko Ekambi and Vincent Aboubakar. You rarely have that these days when two strikers actually combine well. These days it's about a number 10 and a number 9 and all of that. But two strikers who are in the box.
Yeah.
One going wide, one dropping. They seem to have this lovely chemistry between them.
Yeah, look, I'll credit the Cameroonian head coach for even thinking about it in the first place. And also, I feel this combination is thriving because of Toko Ekambi's tactical discipline.
Okay.
I think he's been very intelligent. For Aboubakar, he's not doing anything different. He's just playing his striker's role. When he drops deep, when he has to, he's in the box most of the time. But it is Toko Ekambi's. You can see the instruction is very clear at all times. When he's supposed to be out wide, he's there. When he's supposed to come through in the wide areas into the middle, he's there. When he's supposed to keep Aboubakar company and make it a 4-4-2 in the box, he's also there. So I think I've been more impressed by him. And it's also, I say because it's very difficult to ask an informed striker who is scoring goals to do something different from what he's been doing all his life, or in fact the whole season. He's been thriving and being present in the box. And for the Cameroonian head coach to ask him to come through the wide areas, sometimes it's difficult for players to adapt. Even mentally, they may not want to do it, but you have to credit him for doing it, and for doing it well also. He's been present to score goals when the team needs him. And he's also doing some good defensive work on the down the wings, helping out Toko, the left back. So I have been very impressed with him, his performance this competition. When I said it before, Aboubakar, of course, we all know my stance on him. Before the competition, I knew he would score goals. You know that when he's on the pitch, he will offer that threat. So I've not really been too surprised by what he's done. What I've been surprised by is his comments pre-match against Egypt. You don't want to annoy players like Mohamed Salah.
Okay. And what
he said Salah hasn't impressed him, and Salah doesn't impress him as a footballer. You don't say things like that. Look, I understand it's mind games, but sometimes mind games can be smart. Players like Salah, there are some players and teams that you don't say some things to right before you meet them, like Bayern Munich. Don't dare go and tell Bayern Munich that they are not good. They will show you how good they are. Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, you don't make some negative comments.
Upset them,
yes, and Mohamed Salah has reached that. You don't doubt him before a game. He doesn't necessarily. And you see, for Abu, when he went on to explain, he said Salah doesn't do much on the pitch. He doesn't impress him as a footballer. He just scores goals. That's what he's probably going to do to you. He doesn't need to complete 60,000 dribbles. He just needs to be at the right place at the right time to score. And if he awakes the beast in Salah, I don't think it's the wisest thing to do before the two teams meet.
Interesting stuff there. I love how it's set up to be a lovely grudge match, if you put it that way. Susu, what have you got to tell us?
I just realized I forgot to talk about the most important stat of all, head-to-head. I think people love those stats. So I think Egypt and Cameroon have a very interesting history because they've played quite a number of games. So they play about 27 games outside.
Of course, stemming from the fact that they qualify for a lot of AFCON.
But you see, this is where I'm going to where it's interesting. So in all competitions, Egypt lead 15-6 in terms of wins with 6 draws. But they've played a lot of friendlies. So looking through the data, you find that there's years they play 3-4 friendlies against each other. I don't know what that's about. But then you come to the AFCON and the record is almost equal. 4 wins, 2 draws, 4 wins for both teams. So they played 10 times at AFCONs and 4 wins, 2 draws. So it's a very balanced match when it comes to tournament time. And their last meeting was an AFCON final where Cameroon won. And their meeting before that was another AFCON final. No, it wasn't a final. It was a semi-final. And then they met in the final in 2008 before that. So Egypt won 3 in a row there. They won in the group stage, won in the final, won in the semis, lost in the final. So it's like they have a very nice history at the AFCON. And I think this will be great because now it will be the tiebreaker, right? Both teams have 4 wins. And to take us to their 5th win.
Interesting stuff then. This tiebreaker is for the tickets to play another AFCON final. I don't know. That Imagine the scenes when Cameroon don't win tonight.
It's possible.
It
won't be the first time we are seeing a host nation.
But guys, let's think about what we could possibly be witnessing. So I think Susu laid the groundwork by identifying patterns and then doing our deduction. But I don't know, what kind of game are we to expect this evening? We've seen different sides of Egypt. We've seen Cameroon almost show us everything they can do. Attack, attack, attack. What kind of game are we expecting? And is this the test that we've been waiting for Cameroon to face?
I think Susu's earlier submission gave us what to expect, what we've seen throughout the competition. Cameroon, that team that likes to dominate possession, keep the ball, be in control of their own destiny. It's something that I expect to see today. The Cameroonians dominating possession, Egypt sitting back. And you also have to consider where Egypt are as a team. Defensively, they are struggling because of the amount of injuries that they've had. So you don't expect Carlos Queiroz, and his name comes up again, to make them too open to, or to go and offer himself as a living sacrifice to be destroyed by Cameroon. You don't expect it to happen like that. So look, maybe
we should have a look at the list of injured players the Egyptians have, maybe that can put things into context. If we could get that list. So there you have it. 7 or so players. Mohamed El Shanawi, the goalkeeper. Mohamed Abu Gabal, the other goalkeeper. Ahmed Hegazi is out. Mahmoud Hamdi, another centre-back, is out. Akram Tawfiq, right back. Ahmed Fetu, left back. Hamdi Fathi, defensive midfield. So clearly, for me on that list, the most worrying thing is the fact that Ahmed Hegazi is on there, because he's probably the only centre-back they have who has the physical size to match Abu Bakar and Toko Ekambi in the air.
Yeah, and that will be very problematic. If you look at the list, it's 7 players, and all of them are defensive players. 2 defenders,
2 goalkeepers.
2 goalkeepers, or 2 centre-backs, 2 goalkeepers, a left back, a right back, and a defensive midfielder. So they are really, really, really short in terms of choice at the back. And I think it will influence the sort of approach we see from them today. I expect them to be very difficult to break down. I don't think they'll be too concerned about trying to grab a goal. I think their main concern will be how to keep Cameroon out. And we'll probably see something of what we saw in the last, in fact, the first game against Nigeria, by the goal they conceded. I think they'll be very conservative. They will not be too concerned about going forward. And I think that is the way to go. You don't, when you are that weakened at the back, you don't want to overexpose your team against an opposition that is scoring for fun, an opposition that has its front players in a rich vein of form and very confident ahead of this one. So it's not. I don't think I'll not be too hard on Carlos Queiroz if I see him closing out the game. It's a semi-final of a competition. It's not an exhibition game where they are supposed to come and entertain fans. The fact is they have to win. That is the objective in the game. So whatever they do to win, I think they will be doing. And it will not be about playing nice football or coming to entertain anybody. I think defense should be the main objective in this game, the main focus on this game for Egypt, how to keep Cameroon out. And if you look at, which I'll explain later, I feel they have what it takes to be able to keep the Cameroonians out.
All right, Susu.
So you mentioned Hegazi, and we did a nice small graphic to show you the type of player he is and how important he is. So he's 4th in minutes, 2nd in tackles, 5th in interceptions, and 3rd in recovery. So we are talking loose balls, just getting the ball back from the opposition. And without him, and like you said, he's defending well apart from just being big. Like his size is obviously a factor, but this is the rock in the midfield because his centre-back partner, Wench, as he's called, he got injured early on and has missed a lot, but he still is contributing a lot. So Hegazi had to kind of marshal the defense by himself as the lead at the back, and him not being there is a very big miss. And when you look at the fact that they are right back, I can't remember his name. He got injured after 11 minutes, I think, against Nigeria. You know, Moses Simon did him in and out, and he tore his hamstring. And then the left back
is ACL, rather.
Yeah, it's ACL. Thank you. Now the left back, the Tawfiq. Thank you. Then the left back too is gone. The DM who moved into centre back to help Hegazi too is injured. Your first 2 choice goalkeepers. I mean, the 3rd choice keeper. That game he came on, that was his international debut. So there's a lot of inexperience at the back, but I know Carlos Queiroz is naturally cautious. He wants to stay back, but I think today isn't the day to stay back. I think when you look at
with all these injuries, Susu,
that's exactly why you shouldn't stay back. Because if you stay back, you have to have quality defenders to actually defend. when you don't have quality defenders and you sit back, they will make mistakes. They will make it easy for the Cameroonians. They will misjudge the flight of the ball. They will miskick it. They will miss a clearance, etc., etc. That's what happens when you lack quality at the back. So I think today attack will be the best form of defense. But we know it's Carlos Queiroz, so it's very unlikely that will happen. But Carlos, if you are listening, I'm begging you. I'm on my knees, my imaginary knees, metaphorical knees, begging you to attack. So please.
This is asking Carlos Queiroz to attack. I don't know if that would be a wise move, but we'll see. Let me read a couple of messages quickly. This one is from Gameli, the monkey man. He's asking where is Fentu Tahir. He's not around today. This one says, I'd love to see Mo Salah meeting his friend in the final, but I don't think it will happen because Hegazi is out. Yaya Awal saying that. Someone in Kofredia says, that's the type of performance you get when you play Bertrand Traoré through the middle instead of playing wide. Ekambi Toko will be the biggest threat in tonight's game. But if only Shenawi will be imposed, Salah and the Pharaohs will face the Senegalese in the final. And Gideon from Amprobi says, I think the Ethiopian referee's performance yesterday was top class. It says, best referee of the tournament so far. Well, keep those messages coming in on 0550-585-832 hashtag on Citi. We'll take another break. When we come back, we get more from the touch screen, do some more analysis, take more messages, and we wrap it up. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is still the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We'll get to the touch screen in a bit. Daniel has a few things to show us. But let's just have a look at how the two teams made it here to the semi-final of the AFCON. Cameroon versus Egypt. They all got through different routes to get here. Egypt started with a 1-0 loss to Nigeria. Then they beat Guinea-Bissau 1-0. Then they beat Sudan 1-0. Then they edged Cote d'Ivoire 5-4 on penalties in the round of 16. And they beat Morocco by 2-1. The comeback win against their fellow North Africans by 2-1. The Cameroon, they've won all through. They beat Burkina Faso 2-1 in the opening game. Thumped Ethiopia 4-1. Drew 1-1 with Cape Verde. I said they won all through. Well, that was the game they dropped points. And then they beat Comoros by 2-1 on a day when I thought they would score 10 and 12 and 15. And then they were a bit too hot for the Gambia. They beat them by 2-0 in the quarter final. Suzu?
No, I think I'll take back my thing about telling Egypt to attack because I've just realized they've only managed 4 goals the whole tournament.
So attacking really doesn't make sense.
I don't think that's their strength. Okay. Looking at it
Look
now.
At the numbers. All right, yeah. Daniel, you're on the touch now. I'm sure you've noticed a few things you want to highlight ahead of the semis.
Yeah, we know how Egypt will approach the game, and all those I'm glad he's rescinded his his plea to Carlos Queiroz for Egypt to attack. I think it would be wise to sit back and defend and remain as compact as possible. We all know what has happened in there.
But Daniel, with all these injuries where you are probably throwing on inexperienced centre backs, or you try a combination you probably have not tried in this competition, don't you get worried for the Egyptians?
No, defending is not a game plan that is structured on defending is not just about the back four. It has everybody engineered to play a part. Whereas if you decide to attack, then you are leaving much of the defensive responsibilities to the centre backs.
Right.
On the day when you lose the ball, and of course when you have players like Ikambi and Ngamalu and Abubakar up front who can always punish you. So I feel for Egypt it should be a collective defensive effort. We know how Cameroon have set up throughout the competition. It's usually a 4-1-4-1. You have Umgwet sitting right in front of the back four, and then we have Hongla, you have a very good friend of mine in the Zambo Anguissa and the likes, all in and around the midfield area, causing problems for opposition. You also have, and this is where I think the danger for Cameroon lies, the combination between Ngamalu and Colin Fai. They are, if you've watched the way they
down
play,
the right.
they usually go down the right. And that's where the problem will be. Because once the ball comes to this side, you usually see Toko Ekambi making that run in there. So it sort of becomes like a 4-4-2 Hongla, very narrow 4-4-2 Hongla and Zambo Anguissa, and it becomes almost like this. So Hongla goes out wide now. Umgwit pushes up a bit with Zambo Anguissa, and then you have Ngamelu swinging in the crosses for Abubakar and Ikambi to feast on. Remember that Fatu is a left back. he's had to play centre back in the last game. We saw him in the last game coming on for. In fact, it was Trezeguet who replaced the injured Hegazi. So what happened was Ashraf, who was playing on the left side of the midfield three, dropped back to left back, and Fatu had to go into centre back with Abdul Mumin, who is also a right back. So they have two full backs playing as centre back, and then Kamal, who started the competition as their third choice right back, is now playing at right back. So just to show you how interesting the mix is for Egypt and how much they will be missing their main defensive names in there.
Do you know how tall these right backs who are playing in centre back are?
They are not. That's why I'm getting there. Now, remember in the game against Gambia, Cameroon's game against Gambia, I stressed on the importance of the Gambians stopping the crosses. Yeah. I think it's going to be even more important for Egypt in this game, because I feel the Cameroonians are, and when I say this, I don't say it to look down on the attacking threat in this competition. I feel when the ball is on the ground, they're a bit easy to deal with defensively. It's easy to block them off. That's why they usually go out wide. When they can't find spaces in the middle, they tend to go out wide, and that's what we saw against Ethiopia. We saw it against Gambia. Of course, it didn't happen against Comoros because they're facing like a third choice Comoros team. But it's more likely to happen in this game because the Egyptians are going to be very compact. And that's why we'll need the likes of Trezeguet and Solia doing a lot of defensive work. They will need to close down those areas for Egypt. El Neni will also be very important in this. I will not be surprised if he drops into that back four, almost making it a back three with two wing backs to be able to stop the cross. And I think that's what Egypt should do. El Neni should drop into that back three as and when it is necessary for Kamal and Ashraf to be playing as sort of wing backs, but very defensive wing backs, so that they're able to stop the threat of the double team of Ngamelo and Fai down the right-hand side. Tolo himself has been quite good in the competition. He was responsible for Toko Ekambi's second goal against Gambia, so Cameroon can use that as an outlet going out to the left-hand side. But what we've seen throughout the competition is like they usually rely on that right-hand side. That has been a huge source of their goals. If you look at Ngamelo, he's already created 6 chances throughout this competition. Colin Fai has 3 assists already as a right back. So it shows you the creativity they have down the right-hand side. Just to illustrate something for you. In fact, we always need video evidence so that what you are saying is not lost in thought. This is Colin Fai against Ethiopia. Getting Cameroon the equalizer across to Toko Ekambi, who made that darting run from the left-hand side into the box just to add the numbers in the box. This is an opportunity made by Colin Fai against Gambia. First one, Abubakar missed it. This was the goal in which Toko Ekambi scored. This one came from Colin Fai, once again from the right-hand side. And you see he and Ngamelu there just to double up. You don't necessarily know who is going to score the goal, in fact, who's going to deliver the cross. And they both have such incredible technique that you are almost certain that the cross will be dangerous. This is also the threat of Colin Fai. Gambia decided to go high. Colin Fai is found in behind, and with a better composure, he could easily have put the ball in the back of the net. But that threat down the Cameroonian right-hand side is something that Egypt should look at. This is Colin Fai against Ethiopia, swinging the ball in. Abubakar is there. And just to stress the importance of stopping the crosses, they don't have their 2 main centre-backs, especially Hegazi, who could deal with the aerial threat. You have 2 full-backs playing as centre-back who are not necessarily good in the air. So if you allow the crosses to come in, they are almost certainly going to punish you with the aerial threat of Toko Ekambi and Abubakar. If you're able to stop the crosses, which I more than believe Egypt will be able to do, I feel they can push this game into extra time and maybe even penalties, or even win it, because you have Mohamed Salah. He's just one good pass or one half chance away from getting you the goal. And that is how important the game plan will be. I feel if you force Cameroon into the middle, in as much as Zambo Anguissa can do something, he's dangerous. We all know his qualities. It's easier to defend from the middle for the Egyptians. We've seen them throughout the competition do very well in stopping their opposition. Another player who's going to be very important for them is Mohamed. We saw him in that game against Morocco. He worked his socks off in the game. I think he was one of the main reasons why Mohamed Salah had such a good game. We saw him dropping deep into all sorts of positions. He was down the right-hand side, down the left-hand side helping Ashraf. When Hegazi came off, he was in the middle helping Solé and Trezeguet in the latter embers of the game. So he's going to be very important. Although you see him starting up front, I don't think that will be where we'll see him. Or when after the game, when you look at his heat map, I don't think you see him concentrated at the apex of the pitch. I think he'll do a lot more defensive work, running around, winning back loose balls, and then that threat of Mohamed Salah. We've seen Cameroon have a very porous defense this competition. The only game they didn't concede was against Gambia. They conceded against Ethiopia, they conceded against Comoros, they conceded against Cape Verde and Burkina Faso. They are not the best defensive team. So I feel if Egypt can hold them for as long as possible, the Egyptians have also shown that they have the individual players who can create opportunities. Trezeguet, when he comes on, is dangerous. And when he decides to make the right decisions, Mohamed Salah, the best player on the competition. And I'm going to say it again. He just needs half a chance. You can just boot the ball in the air. Salah against 2-3, he can handle it. Once you have a player like that on the pitch, there's always a threat and there's always a chance that you can be able to score the goal. But the main thing for Egypt is keep Cameroon out. And what will be more telling on the day, in fact, tonight's game will be the crosses. Keep the crosses out, and I think they are 67% through keeping the Cameroonians out.
Interesting stuff there, Susu.
I think it's very interesting we're talking about Egypt as the underdogs because we know they are there. No, not to say that they are not a good team, but we see Egypt 7-time winners. It just shows how good Cameroon have been because I think they've kept the ball. I think they've surprised a lot of people in the sense that they expected Cameroon to do well. But I think of the teams to the, uninitiated observer, they've been the best team because they are scoring the most. But there's a lot more going on. And I think that's why Egypt are so dangerous because I think if the Cameroonians who've been able to score in every game don't score today, it takes a long time for them to get their breakthrough. They might lose their composure. They might start, rushing shots, making the wrong decision in desperation. So if they're able to hold out for a long period of time, I think the game starts to favor them. I don't think this is a situation where if you knock on the door enough times, it will eventually break. I think this is the type of situation where as the person is knocking on the door, they are getting tired and they are forgetting what they are doing. So I think DK is right. If the Egyptians are able to keep compact, stop the crosses, because we know Abubakar is a big fellow. If he's playing against 2 fullbacks, he and Toko can be two large fellows. They are going to lick their lips. These get a 5'10" fullback and you are about 6'3", and you can even jump higher than him. I mean, you are just thinking to yourself, just put in there. So
let's keep crossing.
It's very important that they stop the crosses, but I don't know how they will be able to do that because when you look at all the injuries and stuff, even the fact they don't have their first choice fullbacks, I don't think Egypt are going to win this game. I think this is a Cameroon win, but funnily enough, the spreadsheet says Egypt, so let's see how it goes.
Nathan, just to quickly add to what Susu has said, we've seen Fatou have back-to-back brilliant games. Against Cote d'Ivoire, he was excellent. He kept Pepe quiet the entire game. And against Morocco too, he did a very good job with Hakimi down the right-hand side. My problem with him is over-enthusiasm sometimes, and we saw it in the penalty decision. His decision to throw himself on the ground and try and stop the cross from Cameroon.
The penalty against Morocco.
Yes,
that was Ashraf.
Yes, and Ashraf is playing at left back this time.
I think Fatou is injured, right?
Fatou was a doubt because he picked up an injury but saw off the Morocco game, but he's been passed fit to play this one. So we are sure that he will be in the starting lineup. And that's where my fear is because it's 2 left back playing, 1 playing centre back, 1 playing left back. And of course, when there's a threat down the right hand side like in Gamelo and Faye, you might be tempted to throw yourself on the floor. I think stay on your feet at all times. That will be the instruction. You don't need to throw yourself on the ground or commit to be able to stop in crosses. Do not make silly tackles in and around the box because the Cameroonians also have the technical quality to hurt you from set pieces. We've seen Zambo and Gisa, Gamelo himself, who is fantastic on set pieces. And once you commit a foul around an area where they can swing in the ball, you are almost on your way to conceding the goal.
So it would mean, just on a final note, that Mohamed Salah would have to be very efficient today with the ball because if the Cameroonians are dominating possession, he won't get a lot of it.
He won't get a lot of it, and he also not have a lot of support up front.
Okay.
Because
he has a lot on his hands.
Defensive responsibilities.
He has a lot on his hands. It means that some of the Ramadan, Sobi and Co and other guys will have to contribute their bit, especially on the defensive side, and then see how Egypt handled this. It will be fun seeing Carlos Queiroz put in this situation. We know that he loves to organize his team to be hard to beat. Let's see what he will do in terms of hoping to get the Cameroonians to be frustrated as they try to break them down. Let me read this one. This message is from Richmond from Hoho. It says, Cameroon win by 3-1. Ezekiel from Nigeria says, greetings to you guys. You are doing a wonderful job. And this one is talking about the U.S. making strides in football development. He says the U.S. have got players at Dortmund, Barca, Juventus, RB Leipzig, Chelsea, PSV, Wolfsburg, and others. He wants the GFA to appoint Lucien Favre so he can develop the next generation. And Daniel says, there's something in the message for you. The person says, my sister likes Daniel so much.
Hey, maybe that's Natalia.
I don't even know him. It's here. It says, my sister likes Daniel so much. Can he give us a 360?
Sorry.
Can I say something to the USA?
Yeah.
I mean, the USA with their 300 million people, I think it's the larger talent pool. We are competing with about 32 million. And they are here losing to Canada with a population of about 35-40 million. So I don't think their talent pool is as impressive. If small Canada, who are a hockey playing country, are beating them. I'm just saying.
This one, Collins from Mataico Afenia says, sitting back would be the best approach, like Daniel said, because in the latter part of the game against Morocco, when Hegazi and the goalkeeper got injured, the midfielders helped protect the back four, and they replaced their goalkeeper as well. So I think El Neni and the others will be able to keep Cameroon at bay. Okay, that's Collins from Mataico Afenia, and we'll be wrapping it up now. That's our show for today. Many thanks for watching. My name is Nathan Carr. Daniel Cranting and Susu Graham joined me. We'll be back tomorrow to go over the semi-final. Which way it goes, we don't know, but we'll be back here to talk about it. Will we get Senegal, Cameroon, or Senegal, Egypt? Nobody knows, and we'll find all of that out tonight as that second semi-final is played in Yaoundé. Thank you for watching. We are back tomorrow with more. This has been the AFCON Daily Show. Many thanks to the production team, lights, camera, sound, those who produce, directors, everybody. We appreciate the support. We are back tomorrow with another episode. Do enjoy the rest of your day and keep watching Citi TV.